My view, first of all, full disclosure and everything, I am a capitalist, free market loving Republican. I feel that my beloved Republican Party has been hijacked by the people who currently call themselves Republican. It's funny, I have a lot of very liberal views. I believe in universal health care. I believe the government's responsibility is to create regulation to take care of the people. But I believe in small government. I don't believe that the government should police every aspect of our lives. But that's kind of getting a little bit off the point. I think the main point is accountability. There's a lot of people that talk about, all the people that lost their homes due to really bad loans that they got themselves involved in, and they should be accountable for that. And I agree with that. But in the same token, the bank should be accountable for giving out loans that they know are not going to be paid back. The reason they did that is because they wanted the property. I can't reference anything right this second, but I know that there is many emails proving that these banks gave out loans that they knew these people would never be able to afford to pay back. And I mean, that's fine. They can do that if they want to, but if their bank fails, they should be allowed to fail. There shouldn't be any government insurance to take care of this very, very few amount of people with all this wealth. During the whole bank consolidation thing, so many local banks just disappeared overnight. And it's one of the saddest things in America, because one of the things we need, especially in a place like Baltimore, for our city to grow is the money to stay here. You know what I mean? When you put your money in Bank of America, it means that there's, I think, 3 cities in the world that Bank of America keeps their money in. And that's where your money is going. That's the economy that your money is helping, not the local economy.
So you're from Baltimore?
I'm originally from California. I've been in Baltimore for about 7 years now. Most of the things I do here is just kind of keeping the place clean, keeping the place secure, feeding people. And my favorite thing to do is actually to come out here and talk to people. I love it when people walk by and say, get a job or something, because that gives me an avenue to engage them in conversation. And I've never found anybody that really disagrees with me. Nobody's ever been able to disagree that there is a problem, Every American is angry. And I think a lot of people, don't understand exactly what to be angry about. That's part of the problems. You almost need, a degree in business in order to even understand why things are the way they are. But I think what more and more people are realizing is that, entire blocks of homes are getting bought out or mortgaged out, stolen really. And, these are people's, first it's just something you see on your way to work, and then it's your neighbors, and then it's happening to you. And as that happens to more and more people, the word gets out there, more and more people get mad. Unfortunately, there's a little thing we have in this country where it's so easy for people to turn just a blind eye to this. If it doesn't directly affect them, they don't care, And that's something that I would hope to change, I don't think we need any laws to change it. But, there's just one little statistic. There's 84,000 boarded up homes in Baltimore City, boarded up apartment buildings or whatever, not just the row houses. I think 40,000 of those are row houses. But 2/3 of those properties have absolutely nothing wrong with them. There's a couple banks in this city and mortgage companies that own these places, and they keep them boarded up because they don't have to pay taxes on them. In this part, there's another problem. There's a huge amount of vacancies that are opened in the city, but they're all owned by a small number of companies. So there's no sort of undercutting or anything. There's no allowance for the free market to drive the prices even lower. The property values are super low right now, but that's what the free market is supposed to do. You know what I mean? It's supposed to adjust.
Do you think there's some corruption in the free market?
Yes, I think right now the major corruption is being done by the people who own these mortgages that have virtual monopolies on property in the city. Even in the county and everything, but especially in this city. There's companies that are just controlling the prices. They're not, there's not enough people who own enough of these properties to, undercut each other and undercut and drive the price down to a level that a majority of people can actually afford.
So you think that has anything to do with property taxes?
I do. I mean, I don't want to say that property taxes need to go down or this tax needs to go up or down or anything. we're supposed to be collecting plenty of taxes to pay for everything, even our exorbitant military budget, which is a whole nother subject. But the problem is we're allowing these loopholes to be opened very openly. Like I said before, lobbyists are paying our politicians and our government to change the laws so that they don't have to pay taxes. Citibank hasn't paid a dime in taxes in 3 years. GE, one of the largest companies in the world, which is based in the United States, does not pay any taxes in the United States. There is a lot of people talk about, taxes are only paid by 58%. There's like the 58 percenters, and the poor people aren't even paying any taxes anyway, so they shouldn't have a say. But if you look at percentage-wise, more people that are making over $10 million a year don't pay any taxes in this country by percentage than people below that mark and people, in the lower tax brackets.
If I owned a piece of property, say a small apartment building,
right,
and I'm being taxed X amount of dollars on it, and it's not worth the upkeep and to rent it out, as a private property owner, I have a responsibility to be physically responsible.
You do. It's definitely goes to, the big problem that this has all caused. One of the problems is, in my opinion anyway, is sort of our whole crediting system. You know what I mean? We're buying things for huge amounts of money because we don't have to pay for it right now. You know what I mean? It's not that something costs $10,000 or whatever. It only costs $300 a month.
Talking about the credit bubble right now.
Yeah, definitely. Education is paramount in my opinion. Education is where all the problems really start. It's in the home, but also in the schools. The schools have to be funded, in order to get anything done.
So you're getting a lot of support for this? I mean, from like people just walking by and talking to you?
Yeah, it's definitely the majority of people in the city support what we're here for and know that there is a problem and there's a huge disconnect between big business and the average person.
So what do you think the fix is, man?
The fix, I don't know the entire fix. I know the most important thing that I've been kind of trying to put out there is we need serious, very, very serious, like campaign finance reform, and we need to end lobbyists. I mean, I'm I guess a little bit of a radical in this way, but I think if somebody's elected to the government, elected to any office, they are already paid for the rest of their lives by us, the taxpayer, which I'm completely fine with. But I don't think they should be allowed to get any other job after that. I think all their campaign financing should come from private, just private donations. I also think it should all go in one pool, which every candidate draws from equally. But
I'm not going to get you started on how a corporation is viewed as an individual in this country.
Yeah, I don't like that fact, and let me just roll a quick analogy why. If I stole $50 from somebody off the streets, I go to jail. But if they steal $50,000 or $50 million spread out over thousands of people, the worst thing that happens is they pay, a small fine. They pay, $10,000 fine or whatever it happens to be. And it makes business sense to steal, you know what I mean? It makes sense to steal when it's not costing you anything, when nobody has to go to jail for it. And I think if we're going to treat businesses like people as far as the tax code, we should treat businesses like people as far as our penal code. You know what I mean? If they steal money from somebody, those executives who made the decisions to do this should go to jail. There's all sorts of nightmares involved with this, I mean, companies' finances and their internal workings is allowed to be, private. We don't really have any right or any precedent to go in and demand that we see, all these letters proving, whatever they were doing. So I mean, it's no easy fix. And unfortunately, I'm not a business major or anything. I haven't gone to school for it, so I don't know the exact ways we can fix it. But it's every publicly traded company. They have an obligation to the shareholders to increase their stock. That is by law. There's a lot of things that companies, I think, would like to do that would cost them money in the short run, which would decrease, their stock value, and thus makes it illegal for them to do. they basically have an obligation to think only of the short term and only of making as much money right now as they can. And that's one of the main reasons I think that there is such a disconnect between the ultra wealthy businesses and people and the rest of us, the rest of the 99%, you know. And I almost don't even like the term, the 99%, because even the 1%, I don't hate them. I don't have any dislike for them, really. I think they should be maybe better human beings, but they're probably doing the same thing I would do if I was in that situation. The problem is we need a system set up that doesn't allow that. You know, we need honest politicians to go in and think about the people more than their wallet, which is a problem. You know, I think laws need to change in order to do that. You know, I guess that's one of the main reasons that we're here, is to come together and to communicate and to find out what the answer is. You know, I mean, the next great politician may be some kid right now that's you know, just sitting around the dinner table and asks his mommy, "Hey, mommy, what's this Occupy thing all about?" And that'll start a conversation.
Can you tell me what's different between the Occupy? This is a tough one. The Occupy protests and Tea Party protests. In your opinion.
Yeah. The Tea Party, the Occupy protests seem to be a lot more about, there is a lot of similarities. The Occupy protest seems to be a lot more about helping everybody as a whole, you know, helping the entire society, lifting the entire society up, and also, you know, somehow limiting how much more wealthy the ultra wealthy can become. The Tea Party seems to be a little bit more on, I guess you'd say, the Republican side of that. You know, a lot of Tea Partyists don't believe in like universal health care at all. They don't think that if you can't afford health care, then you shouldn't deserve it, you know, and I don't really like that at all. But I mean, there's a lot of other things that honestly I don't know the real difference between a lot of what the Tea Party says and a lot of what the Occupy says. But one of the things with the Occupy movement is it's a lot of people with a lot of different ideas and a lot of different backgrounds that you know, come together. Like there's people here that are, you know, self-proclaimed socialists, you know, self-proclaimed anarchists. There's people that want to work in the system. There's people that want to, you know, figuratively burn the whole thing down and start over again. You know, I don't know that any of them are really 100% on the right track to what is really can be done, you know, realistically. But you know, this is where different ideas come from, you know. And the great thing about this country that I have loved since I learned it is it was based more than anything else on change. They knew that people are going to change, times are going to change, and they made sure that the government was able to change with them. And one of the things that I think has happened is people have just gotten so lazy. They don't care about researching who they're voting for, or even holding the people accountable that they know have done bad things. They just go, well, I'm a Democrat, so I'm going to vote all Democrat, or I'm a Republican, I'll vote all Republican. You know, that's I saw something that 90% of the people vote only on Republican or Democrat, you know, what they are. And that's part of the problem. You know, people have to hold the government accountable so that the government can hold corporations accountable, so corporations treat people like people, you know, like they deserve to be treated. And there's always going to be rich people, there's always going to be poor people. I don't think there's anything we can do about that. No civilization has ever figured out a way, you know, around that. You know, I guess communism, that's what they tried to do, but there were still rich people, there were still poor people. And I think that's something a lot of people just have to get over and have to realize that, you know, I've seen people that are dirt poor, you know, making less than $20,000 a year, and those are some of the happiest people I've ever met in my life. You know, I see some of these people walking down here, and they'll tell you they make multi-millions of dollars. They have huge salaries, and they get, you know, huge checks for no reason, and they're the most bitter people that you could see it on their face. They're just not happy at all. And it's like, what does money really buy you at that point? You know, I mean, it's definitely security. It's definitely, you know, this and that. It's new iPods, it's computers, and it's fun things like that. But what does that really get you in the end? You know, I mean, when I die, I want to be able to look back and say I had a fun life. You know, I had a fucking ball.